High Plains Technology says it's time for school.
Well, look at the time. It is time for school. And we've got Katie Shirley in the studio again, ringing the tardy bell.
Good morning, Brett. Thanks for having us. Today I've got with me two special guests, and our first guest is Jathan Medina. Jathan is a High Plains employee safety instructor. So good morning, Jathan.
Good morning.
Tell us a little bit about your position and how long you've been at High Plains, and maybe touch a little bit on your background.
Okay, so I've been at High Plains for roughly about 2.5, 3 years now. I do safety and rescue instructing, everything from just oil and gas, industrial. I do help the renewable energy side when they are busy. H2S, confined space, rescues their entry, everything from monitoring to forklift safety to fire safety, first aid, CPR. The list goes on and on and on and on. A little bit about my background. I'm married to a smoking hot wife. Got 3 wonderful boys. Been in and out of safety roughly about 15, 16 years altogether, and everything from oil and gas to construction, industrial, some plant operations and things like that.
Awesome. And so today, who do you have with you?
I got Ryan Hayes here, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Hey, good morning. My name's Ryan Hayes. I'm the safety supervisor at CF Industries. Been there about 10 years. Also have a smoking hot wife, 2 kids, a boy and a girl, Harper and Sayer. My role at CF is I'm over the health, safety, emergency response, and security at the site. We have roughly 165, 170 employees, all full-time. The plant's been in operation since 1978, so we've been a staple in the community for a long time. And we're here to talk with Jathan about how we utilize their services and how that makes us better as a site.
Before you do that, I need to get in here and say I have a smoking hot wife, too. I didn't want to be left out.
No, I have a smoking hot husband, so there we go.
Outstanding. Okay, so one of the things that we were going to talk about, and some of the things I'm just going to go ahead and say that we were kind of visiting about before we went on air was some of the safety things that we do out at High Plains Technical Center that a lot of our communities around here don't know that we actually do it. So I'm going to let Ryan talk about a little bit of that as well. But some of the safety training that we provide to you guys, and some of you out there that may not know, that follow CF on social media and stuff, they got all that too. I follow CF quite a bit on a lot of things, and they are one of the top safety rated companies in the nation. Their safety board is absolutely outstanding when you look at their numbers and the hours that they operate, the employees that they have across the country. And you guys, U.S. based and offshore stuff too, overseas?
So our headquarters is in Chicago. We have facilities in the United States, Canada, and the UK.
Okay, there we go. So now I just learned a little bit more there too. Okay, but a lot of the stuff that we provide for you guys as training, kind of the way I look at it, and I think High Plains does too, is even though you guys are a corporate company, you're based out of Chicago, but to us, you're still a small hometown company. That's the way we look at it, and I think that's one of the reasons why some of the training that we do, I feel like we have an upper hand on some of those things because we go to church with some of these employees. We have kids in sports, things like that together. So I feel like when we get on a personal level as far as our safety training, that gives us that upper hand on that. We can get a little bit more engagement out of them in the class and make them realize, the number one reason why we're doing this stuff is to make you guys better as a team and operate and hold each other accountable for things. So like this week, we'll talk a little bit about starting tomorrow and Thursday, we're kicking off a hazmat refresher class and a confined space refresher class. How does that help you guys out there at CF when you guys come and do refresher classes away from the 40-hour classes?
So given the amount of employees that we have, it would be tough to get people through the extended classes on an annual basis, which is not required regulatory-wise, nor is it probably needed for the amount of things that we do in that world. But having the ability to do the refreshers every year keeps everybody fresh. You know, when we're talking about emergency response, this isn't something that we face on a daily basis. Hopefully, we don't face it at all throughout the year or 5 years. We have people that have been 3-year employees that have never used anything you've taught them out there as far as emergency response goes, and that's the way we like it, and that's what we strive to do proactively. But there's a chance in any industry. You have that chance, so we could put them through the 40-hour, the 80-hour, whatever the initial class is, and then hope they retain that, or we can do the initial class and then do the refresher classes on an annual basis, semi-annual basis, whatever it is that it requires, and keep that fresh on everybody's mind, and then do our part at the site to do smaller trainings in between, whether it's just toolbox talks or drill scenarios, whatever it is, and keep that on the forefront of people's mind, because that's not what we do for a living. We don't fight fires for a living. We don't do hazmat for a living. We make ammonia for a living, and that's what CF's about. And so we have to be prepared for the worst that can happen, while actively trying to prevent it from happening.
Right. Okay. And that's one of the things that we kind of look at when we are doing training for you guys or anybody else in these communities around here. And people talk in our classes all the time about, well, we've done this training and this training every year for the last 10 years. And it's the same thing. And we try to switch things up, make things as different as we possibly can, and try to replicate what you guys do out there in other companies in the community as well. And we always talk about, we want to do training where you guys are performing training at the highest level, so that if anything ever does happen, you're ready for it. And that's one of the things, is about keeping those things fresh in your minds on refresher classes and different things that we do for you guys. Some of the other things that we do for you guys as far as our fire classes, our CPR, first aid, things like that we provide. We do the certification classes for you guys where you actually get a card. They are first aid certified, CPR certified. To use an AED, we go through 4-hour class trainings with them. How has that benefited you guys out there as far as first aid CPR things?
So we take the approach that we train almost every employee on the first aid, CPR, AED, bloodborne pathogens, because you never know who's going to need those skills. So we try to get all of our employees through that regularly. There's options out there where you can take an online class and do some of those skills and maybe even get certified through some avenues, but getting the hands-on instructions from High Plains really prepares our people, whether it be at work or at home. You know, you're more likely to face that at home than you are at work. So we want everybody to be prepared for those situations, because you spend a lot of time at work, but you use those skills that companies like CF can work with High Plains and provide, but you use those outside of work. So it benefits us not only in a professional setting, but at home too. And that's really why we put the emphasis on getting so many people through those types of classes.
Okay. And that is one of the things that I believe in my heart that leads High Plains away from a lot of other training facilities. Like, we have so many instructors with different backgrounds to help you guys there at your plant setting. And you guys know what's coming and going from your plant. You guys have high security awareness. But when you talk about the skills that you learn there, and CF pays for it, they're taking those skills home, sharing those skills with their families, their children, their spouses. And that's where 90% of the time, a lot of the first aid, CPR, things like that, we don't see at work or at the work settings. We see it at home. We see it during holidays. And one of the things that sets High Plains aside is with the instructors. Like myself, I've been a volunteer firefighter in Woodward the last 2 years. We have Captain Kevin Dixon, that's an instructor out there, has been a firefighter 25 years, military experience. We have Stephen Rogers, that's been an 11-year fire veteran and EMT, and we bring all that stuff to the table where we can share actual real-world experiences with some of your guys' employees. And this is what we have faced out there and seen, and this is the things that you guys can take away from it to better help your employees or your guys' families at home. But that's one of the biggest things with the refresher classes and things, is keeping those things fresh in your mind so you're always on top of your game.
And that's a benefit that doesn't get talked about enough, is having places like High Plains, you hear the governor and the lieutenant governor talk about, our tech centers throughout the state are better than other states around us. And we see that a lot within our company. Not every site, every manufacturing site has that option, and we do. That's why we feel like we need to utilize it to the most that we can.
Well, thank you, Jathan and Ryan, for being our guests today, and thank you all for listening. We'll be back here next week on 100.1.